Allee from creativekogi.com, and today is the 8th of June, and I'm coming to you from South Africa. It's very cold, cold by South African standards, but yeah, it is quite a chilly day. So yes, I had said that I would be back soon with another episode. And I decided that if I didn't sit down and do this today, I probably would come back next year. I really enjoyed recording the previous podcast, so much so that it extended for almost an hour. And I was thinking afterwards that perhaps I should rename this Ramblings of a Crafter or something similar. I did say the last time I had a bit of sore throat, and it ended up becoming flu. So I've been down for about 2 weeks with the flu. And yeah, essentially what had happened was Natalia had come home from school feeling very fluish, and then there was a message saying that one of the kids in her class had influenza A. So I got a bit concerned and took her to the doctor, and then I sat there and the doctor said to me, well, it seems that you are a little bit worse off and you need to be treated. So yeah, she was awesome, gave me a drip with a cocktail of drugs, and I felt better, but it just lingers. It's that constant headache and the stuffiness and the sore throat just kind of lingers. So I'm hoping I would be done with that quite soon. So also the voice is a bit odd. But anyway, so I'm trying to be a little bit more organized today. And I also decided that I could come to you more regularly with little bits of information rather than sit down for an entire hour to tell you everything that has happened over the year. So maybe 2 weeks or 2 to 3 weeks is a better idea to come in and have a quick update. So let's get started. I have a plan on my screen right here so that I don't go completely off track, because I'm so good at doing that. So firstly, let's talk about finished objects. I don't have too much to show you. In fact, every time I finish something, I do post on Instagram. So if you are not following me on Instagram, it's also on Facebook, and it's Creative Kogi, so you'll be able to find it easily. So I made a little cowl. This is knitted actually in the flat, and then it's stitched together. Is it? Or is it knitted in the round? I don't know. I can't remember. It might actually have been knitted in the flat, but it's a simple basket weave stitch pattern. And the pattern, it's actually so simple, you don't really need the pattern, but if you do, it's from Yarnspirations. And yeah, I made it in the colors that Natalia likes, because she's so into pinks and purples and that. And yeah, she likes it, she enjoys wearing it, because it's very easy to put on and to pull off. And then a matching hat. So last time I was here, I told you about the hat that was designed by Kirsten Michelle, the Zane hat. And so I like the pattern so much. It's so easy, and it's so easy to memorize the pattern that you don't actually need to sit with it and look at it row by row. And what I did on this one is I did the fold up brim. And what I like about this is that you kind of do your normal ribbing, and then you have 3 rounds where you have like knit 1, slip 1 kind of stitches, and then when you fold it stays on that line. I don't know, so often you have these folded brim hats, and then you'll find that the part of it is a bit lopsided and it's not quite straight. But this is awesome, because these rounds of stitches here just keep it folded. And then I made a little pom-pom. So I don't have a pom-pom maker, and I tried to make a little cutout out of cardboard because I saw it on YouTube and it seemed easy enough to do, and it just got in my way. It literally got in my way. I could not get the yarn around it, and so I think maybe one of my new purchases will have to be a pom-pom maker. But this one, I literally rolled the yarn. So I held my hand like this and I literally rolled the yarn and then kind of threaded it through and knotted it and then snipped. So it's not an even looking pom-pom. So yes, I think I do need a pom-pom maker. So I'm gonna have to look out for one of those and see. I think it might be much easier than trying to use cardboard cutouts. So yes, that's what I have finished. Oh, I have another hat. So this one is arrow arrowhead. I can't remember now. It's got arrow in the title. I just finished this like the other day. I might have it here still. No, I don't. Okay. Anyway, it's by Rachel Kleinhans. And she does a lot of accessories, so lots of hats and cowls and that. This isn't my first test knit for her. I have test knitted for her before, and I did the smaller size. Also, this one's for Talia, and also quite an easy pattern. A little bit similar yet different to the previous one. This looks like it's got arrows with arrowheads kind of pointing up and down, but yeah, it's sort of like cabling without a cable needle. It's just the twist stitches that creates the pattern. So this one's knitted in Al Merino, and it's in the color Ravine. Is it Ravine? Yes, I think it is actually. Yes. Sorry, now the sun suddenly started shining really brightly and feels like I'm being washed out. But anyway, yeah, I'm recording using my phone and I don't have any fancy equipment. So, yeah, please excuse, yeah, the lack of professionalism in this podcast. Right then, so that's projects completed. I have to show you, wait, not completed, but I have one sock each. So this was mine, which I have shown you previously, and then I'd said I'd bought these sock blockers, the new ones from the little yarn craft, and actually it fits. So we probably will have to take a photo with our feet, but for me and for Atalia. And I had also posted a picture of this on Instagram with her wearing it. I didn't think it would fit this blocker, but it does actually quite nicely. In fact, these are so pretty. They look like I should just hang them up on the wall rather than have them worn as socks. So I think I'm gonna have to maybe have a nail put up on my wall. So what you can't see in this photo is I have one of these picture frame hooks that's knocked onto the wall, and then I have all my cables hung on it. So I think I probably need to hang this up on the wall as well. So yes, I have shown you that. And now works in progress. So I am not a monogamous knitter. I get easily bored. There are some projects where you have to follow the pattern kind of round by round or row by row, and you can't just kind of sit and knit mindlessly. And one of the reasons why I like doing the socks, especially when I have to wait for the kids, like at swimming or something, is because it's just stockinette stitch. So you kind of know how many rounds you have to do, and then you just knit and then you click. I have one of these clicker counter thingies, so I just like knit around, click, and then it goes quite quickly. I've decided to make another one of these. Oh, this is sorry, I should start by saying what I'm wearing, right? this is mine. This is an infinity cowl. It's called In the Beginning, and it's really for it's really beginner knitters who are a little bit afraid to tackle colorwork knitting. And so it's easy because the color changes happen so fast that you don't have to worry about carrying floats at the back of your work, and also because it's knitted in the round and all your floats are inside the circle, so to speak. You don't actually see it, and you know, it doesn't really matter if you're finding that your floats are a little bit untidy. So yeah, this pattern is on Ravelry. It's called In the Beginning, and in fact there's two versions, so it's one pattern, but there's two versions. So you can either knit this infinity cowl, which I love. I love cowls. I think I'm more a cowl person than a scarf person. I don't like the fussiness of having to wrap things around me. So there's this infinity cowl, but then there's also a cowl that's sort of shorter with ribbing and the same kind of pattern. And so yeah, you buy the one pattern and you can get both variations of it. So that's on Ravelry, and I will link to it in the show notes. Is it called the show notes? The thing that comes below the video. Right. So there's always a lot of projects that are in progress in various little project bags. I've decided to use my sock yarn to knit one of these because I really like the pattern changes. I'm so curious to see what's coming next. So I will show you that next time, because that bag is in the swimming bag, which is not here. Right, so what I have going though, so the last time I did tell you that I also signed up for Kirsten Michelle's sweater, which is also the Danish inspired pattern. And so you'll see it, the pattern on this hat is the same pattern that's on the yoke, and this is a folded over rib, but it's done using a provisional cast on, which I was terrified of doing because I didn't quite understand it. But now that I know how to do that, it is actually one of my favorite cast-ons. There's no sewing or anything. You basically cast on waste yarn and you use your crochet hook. And I found that the video that explains it the best for me is the one by Andrea Maury. There's quite a lot. There's quite a lot of videos out there. There's also one by Very Pink Knits, but she does a whole chain, a crochet chain, and then kind of knits into it. Does she do that? Yes. Okay. So I'm trying to think of which one I had seen. But yeah, the one by Andrea Maury is awesome. And I watched it just once and I was able to easily figure out how to do it. And then it's very neat. So on the inside, it's also very neat because you're not sewing in. You're basically then just knitting the stitches from 2 needles, and you're knitting it all onto one. I think you'll have to watch the video to understand what I'm saying. And then so this is a 16 stitch repeat, so you can see all my stitch markers around. It's actually not a difficult pattern at all. It is another one of those ones where you can easily memorize the pattern, so you don't need to kind of sit with your chart and follow row by row. Round by round, sorry. And then I have this pattern, which is by Anne and Carlos. So if you watch the podcast, you know that Anne is knitting the peacock shawl, and so of course I had to try it. so I was watching their podcasts on their walk along Hadrian's Wall in the UK. And then there was this kind of, I think it was a few videos where Arne is sitting and he's like knitting this lace pattern, but with no chart in sight and no pattern in sight. And I thought, hey, this is something that looks fairly simple. I think I could do it. I have knitted this bit and I've needed the pattern for every single row. So how does Arne do it with zero pattern? I don't know. I think he's just a master knitter. So the pattern, it calls for Norwegian, or is it Rowan, the Norwegian Rowan yarn, which is the double knit, and 3.5 millimeter needles. And because I've had, this left over from the hat, I thought, well, it's kind of similar. It is DK weight and it works well with the 3.5 millimeter needles. And I quite like the color. So I thought, well, I'll do it. But I actually think, to be honest, that this pattern would be better suited to a fingering weight yarn. So it would have a lot more drape to the fabric, I think. And having just said that I don't like fiddly shawls that kind of go around your neck, here I am knitting a shawl. So yeah, I'm a contradiction to myself. But it just looks so pretty and I wanted to join the knit along. So Arne knits super quickly and he said he was going to slow down for people to catch up. And at the back of my mind I was thinking, wouldn't it be awesome if I could finish before him? So unlikely. But yeah, sometimes I get these crazy ambitious ideas, but I'm really thinking that this peacock pattern would suit a fingering weight yarn, but I might just keep going and see what happens. Yeah, we'll see what happens. So that's basically what I have in terms of works in progress, with the projects that are missing. New acquisitions. I've not bought yarn in 2 weeks. And that is really good. I have quite a big stash of yarn, and my plan for 2023 is to try and work with what I have rather than constantly adding to the stash, this kind of growing stash. And I have been pretty good trying to use what I have, and then I see a pattern and I think, oh, but that would look so nice in, maybe a different yarn. And and I have these Naughty Habit vouchers that I need to use. And then I looked at my 3 skeins of my yarn that I showed last week, and I thought if I had 3 more skeins I could have a sweater. So I'm trying really hard not to spend a lot of money on yarn. So we'll see how it goes. We have, as I've said before, we moved into a new house, so we have quite a lot to do on the house. Yesterday we had solar panels installed, and it's really more that I wouldn't be affected so much by the load shedding, so that I could work uninterrupted, because I do work from home, and also to save a bit of money in the long run in terms of electricity costs. So yes, there's a lot of other priorities, and I think I'm going to be a little bit more sort of mindful in terms of what I buy. But that being said, I have new acquisitions that is not yarn, but books. So I have this one. I did say that this year it's all about socks, and so this one is the book by Lane, and it's 52 weeks of socks. I ordered it in May, in the middle of May, and I got it from Loot. It does take a while to yeah, it does take a while to get it, so you have to be patient if you do order from Loot. But yeah, and it's beautiful socks. I am definitely yeah, it's beautiful socks. Can you see? So I'm going to try out some of these patterns, and then I've now suddenly got an itch in my eye. Yeah. So I'm going to try out these patterns, and then this one is another book for my my knitting bookshelf, and this one is by Elizabeth Zimmerman, and it's the Knitters how would you say this word? Almanac, I think. I'll have to Google it now to see what the pronunciation is. But it's projects for each month of the year. And it's a whole lot of things. So let's see what it says. The year begins with a sweater, and then baby things, and blankets, mittens, socks. So yeah, it's going to be interesting, and there's a lot of projects. It's very it feels weird, the pages, and the text is really small. It's really tiny, but I think it's also trying to cram in a lot of information into the book. So I'm very excited about this one, because if you follow, or if you have been following sort of the history of knitting, and that you know that one of the biggest contributors to the knitting world is Elizabeth Zimmerman. So yeah, 2 new books that I'm very excited about, and I'm very excited to start using. And I'm going to try as hard as I can not to buy anything in the next month. We'll see how well I do with that. So sewing wise, I have been sewing, and I'll tell you why. It's because I can never find anything that fits Italia properly. So we received a number of gifts, clothing gifts from, I won't mention the store name, but it is a very well-renowned sort of high-end store here in South Africa. And because the kids are 5 and 8, so our family bought them, 5 to 6 years and 6 to 7 years, and then for Matthew, 8 to 9 years. But Matthew's now wearing 11 to 12, sometimes 13 to 14, because he's quite tall. And Natalia is 5 years old, but she is wearing age 9, 8 to 9 years. So I had to take all this clothing, it's beautiful clothing, to the store to try and get bigger sizes, and they didn't have everything. So then I had this voucher, a credit note, and went in this weekend because Italia really needs some new leggings and some track pants for school, because she's not in uniform yet, and nothing would fit her. It was most frustrating, because where the waist fits, the length is just way too long, and some of the leggings, the size seems fine, but then I couldn't get the bottom to go over the heel of her foot. So it's like, who are these clothes being made for? So I was a little bit disappointed, and I decided, no, I think it's better if I just sew. I mean, seriously, I should make use of my machines. That pile of fabric and clothing in the back is actually sewing works in progress, and I've decided that it's pointless spending a small fortune on clothing that I have to bring home and still have to sort of customize to fit her. So I should just sew. So I did get jeans. I don't know how to sew jeans, so I did get jeans that I would have to now hem, because they're so super long for the waist and the hips to fit. But the one thing that I have been sewing, and I have a really good pattern for, is tights. You just need to make sure that you have stretchy fabric. So 4-way stretch generally is better, and I had cotton lycra stretch, and also I think it's called scuba 4-way stretch. And so I've made three tights, three pairs of tights. Did we say pairs when we talk about tights? 3 tights. And I have one that's already stitched, and I just have to fold over the top and thread in the elastic. And she's worn them to school this week already, and they fit perfectly, and the pattern works amazingly well, and it's super simple to sew. And essentially, I'll show you quickly because I do want to give credit to the I don't want to drop everything from my table also. I do want to give credit to the designer. So essentially what you do is you print out the A4 pages on your home printer, and then you stick together where it tells you to, where the blue dots are, and you paste it all together. And of course I go through quite a bit of tape, but this pattern is basic leggings, and then the one pattern, you can either do the 3/4 version, you could do full length tights, or you could do the shorts. And this is by Scatter Thoughts of a Crafty Mum. It's a free pattern, and I am now on 8 years for Italia. It is rather long, so I have trimmed off the bottom end to make the pattern sort of fit for her. But I've been using this pattern from when she was actually quite little. It's been online for quite a while. Let's see, 2017. So the pattern was created in 2017, and I've been using this pattern from the time she was 3, I think. So I've gone through sizes 5, 6, and 7, and now we're on size 8, and this goes up to 14. So it's a pattern that I'm going to use for a number of years still. So if you do sew and you want to make tights, this is a really good pattern, and it works brilliantly. It fits her brilliantly. I can definitely say this is one of the better ones. So yes, at the last episode, I also said I wanted to tell you what podcasts I've been watching. So I don't have a lot of time to watch. So generally, it's in the evening when everyone's in bed, and then I get to watch sort of a quick podcast. And the last time I'd mentioned, how many did I mention? I mentioned 5, so I'm not going to tell you about another 5. I'm only going to mention 1, and I think that's what I'm going to do going forward, because then I can just quickly tell you about the 1 rather than try and do justice to the 5. So the one that I want to mention today, and it suddenly got dark, so I'm sorry about that. It's natural, the natural light. I don't have the power switched on, but it's the natural light, so the sun's now gone behind some clouds. So this one's called Kutovo Kika, and it's a lady. Well, her name's Veronica, but Kutovo Kika is a content creator. That's her job. She's a content creator, and she's a knitwear designer, and she has been doing podcasts for many years now, and she can podcast about anything, and it's still interesting. The one thing that I really enjoy about her podcast is her energy. It's just if you're feeling kind of down and your own energy levels are a bit low, you could just switch on this podcast, and she's just so full of energy, and she's excited and smiling and always in such a great mood despite the day that she's having. She just comes across as being this really cheerful, bubbly person. and she now focuses on knitting. So her earlier podcasts were on photography and, you know, the places that she's been to, and really also on how to make podcasts, how to take photos, how to be creative. And it's just really interesting to watch her. She has now also full knitting tutorials on sweaters that she has designed. She's also done podcasts on some crazy challenges, like how I knitted a sweater in a weekend, and that's from designing it to knitting it and then wearing it. And she's very interesting to watch. And her most, I think it's her most recent, it's not a most recent, it's close to being one of her most recent sweaters, is her Salty Days sweater. And if I was any good at doing podcasts and creating videos, I would be like, look here, or I'll have a screen drop down, but I cannot figure out how to do that using the editor, the video editor that I have. So if you know how, or you can recommend an affordable photo editor that is able to do that, please do let me know in the comments, because the one I have doesn't allow me to just say like, look here. Right. Anyway, her Salty Day sweater is one that is on my to-do list, and I am quite excited about starting it because it's got lots of texture. The construction is slightly different to your typical sweater, and I think it's going to be one that I would enjoy wearing. So I'm looking forward to that one. So that's what I watched, and I've been enjoying watching. I haven't watched all of her podcasts. She has many. So I have now subscribed, and I get a notification if there's a new one. But someday, when I have lots of time, I would like to go back and watch some of the ones that she has done on photography and creating creative content, because I think that would be quite interesting. And then I said I was also going to tell you what I'm reading. So I read a lot. Well, I don't read a lot. I listen to audiobooks a lot. I'm a lazy reader now. So I've always loved reading. I have a love for books. I'm very passionate about books. In fact, I'm actually one of those moms that is constantly reprimanding my kids about, please don't leave the book lying open on the table. Like, use a bookmark. You know, if you leave it lying flat down, you're going to destroy the spine, and books are meant to be treasured. And please be careful with the books. Like, stop putting all your dirty fingerprints in books. I love books. I have a huge collection of books. I haven't read all of the books that are on my shelves. I'm one of those people also that if there's this hype around that this series is amazing and everyone's talking about it, then I used to go and buy the whole set of books, and I would say to myself that I'm going to find the time and read all of it. And I've also received books as birthday presents. I think that's really such a good present to give. I mean, I personally love receiving books. I'm not sure if other people do, but to receive a book is just amazing. And so for a few years, my brother actually gifted me books for my birthday, and it's authors that he knows that I enjoy reading. And so I've been very grateful for that. And so I've been adding on to the book collection. I'm becoming a little bit more, what is the word? A bit more mindful, I think, now of what I keep and what I should donate. And I've decided that classics should be kept, all the classics, you know. There are some books that you should just keep on your shelf. So books like To Kill a Mockingbird, for example, by Harper Lee. Those are books that should stay on your shelf forever and ever. And, you know, other books that you kind of read and you've read it once and you kind of, okay, I don't think I'm really going to read this again, you should then donate, I think. So I have donated many of my books when we moved house, boxes and boxes of books, and I am trying to keep it to a minimum and only choosing those titles that I really want to have on the shelf, that I know that the kids would also one day read, because some of these books are timeless, and I would want my kids to read them. So I'm doing a lot of Audible, audiobooks, but through Audible. So Audible is the program that I have. I pay for it. It's a monthly subscription, and you get a credit every month. But also with Audible, you this is not advertising for Audible, and I think there are quite a few out there, but the one I'm using is Audible. But there's also a number of free titles that you could download, and so there's always something to read, and I always find something in the free titles also that I would enjoy reading. So not only do I get my credit for my paid book, but then I get like a number of free titles to read. And I read such a range of books, and so I can't classify myself as like, I love classics, or I love romance, or I love murder, mystery, thriller, whatever. I read everything. I would read Stephen King and love it. I love murder mystery. I would read a romance, a cheesy romance now and again, just to have a break from having my mind like just constantly thinking like, what next? What's going to happen next? So there are a few authors that I absolutely enjoy, and the one is Robert Brinzer. He's awesome. And there's 2 series. So he does the Kate Marshall detective series. Kate Marshall's a detective and she is solving murders. And then he has the Erica Foster series, and I've read all of them. So I'm up to date with Robert Brinzer. In fact, if he has a new book coming out, I then pre-book it on Audible so that I could have it. So there's Robert Brinzer. I absolutely love reading. There's also Angela Marson's, and then it's a similar style to Robert Brinzer. And there's a number of books. I haven't read them all. In fact, what I do, if I like something, so I have a little book here that I recorded, and I'll tell you. So there's Stacey Green, and she has the Nikki Hunt series. Love it. Also murder mystery. There's Angela Marson's with the Kim Stone series. I've mentioned Angela Marson now, and there's a lot. There's 17 of them, and I've only read 5 of them. And then there's Rick Mofina. I've read 2. If Angel Falls in Cold Fear, and I loved it. And yeah, so there's I write the authors down if I've really enjoyed the book, and then I add on to the list, and then I tick them off as I go through them. So the 2 that I've read most recently and finished both in a week, they're very short books, they were quick listening, is the Quilts of Love series. And for those of you who quilt and enjoy sewing, this is something you probably, if you love quilting and you love kind of romance and a bit of sort of spiritual, kind of religious books, then I would say these are good books for you to read. There are a number of them. I think there's 21 or 22 in the series. It's the Quilts of Love series. And then it's, the first one I read was by Carolyn Zane, and it's Beyond the Storm. And the second one that I finished, in fact I finished it last night, by Jennifer Allee, and it's called A Wild Goose Chase Christmas. A Wild Goose Chase Christmas. And it is a bit of romance. It's sort of, the story centers around quilts. Quilts appear in the story somehow, but then it's also about a relationship with God. And I have thoroughly enjoyed those 2 books. I can recommend that. And they've been around for years. I've not actually heard of the Quilts of Love series before. So I've enjoyed it, and I probably will read the third one now in the series because they're quick, easy reads. And they're kind of talking to me right now in terms of what I need to read. Just easy reading, but with a really strong, powerful message, a strong, powerful spiritual message. So yeah, that's what I'm reading. And quickly, I'm going to finish now because I'm not going to sit here for an hour again and ramble on. What am I watching on TV? So nothing much actually. So I would love some recommendations. Again, I watch such a range of things. There's no one type of like I wouldn't just watch comedy. I'd watch such a range. I've not, and I don't know how many of you out there have not watched the full 10 seasons of Friends. I have seen bits of it. So like on your Facebook Reels or on Instagram Reels, there's always like a little bit of the Friends. I mean, it's timeless. There's something about Friends that is timeless. And I decided, so many years ago, and this would have been a long time ago, like 2009 or even earlier, I bought the box set of the DVDs. I mean, some of them are still in plastic. I've not opened out the plastic because I was watching season 1 and 2 and I just laughed so hard and I thought, love this. I need all of them. So that was a long time ago, and some of them are still in plastic. I have the box set. I don't think I have a DVD player anymore, but anyway, even these new laptops don't come with the DVD players, but I have the set. So I'm on season 6 of Friends and enjoying it. Thoroughly enjoyed. So I kind of know what's going to happen because of all the reels that I've watched, and you kind of know what happens in the story, but it's just interesting, fun watching, and they're quick. It's short episodes, so you can kind of watch an episode a night. So I'm on season 6 of Friends, only now watching Friends. And yes, season 16 of Heartland came out on Netflix, and so I'm watching that. I love it. There's just something about a good family story that just I thoroughly enjoyed. So yes, Heartland season 6 is out. And then for something that has to get you thinking a little bit, I'm only now watching Blacklist. It's been around for a while. In fact, my friend Gwen told me about it last year, and she said you have to watch Blacklist. And so I'm still getting through that because it's one of those ones where you kind of have to engage, and if you're counting rows and checking your chart for your knitting, then you can't really focus on that. So that's one for mindless knitting because you want to be part of the action. And then I would watch anything that's British anything like Downton Abbey, and I just love it. And those detective series, there was The Bodyguard, and I can't think now what it is, but the other one that I really enjoy watching is Shetland. So when I saw Shetland, I associated the name with, Shetland Wool Week, Shetland Wool, Jameson's from Shetland, but it's actually dark murder mystery, but it's awesome. It is absolutely brilliant. We've only had 2 seasons on Netflix, and that is one that will go on my watch list, so I'm waiting for the next seasons. I don't know if I enjoy the story as much as I enjoy the scenery and the accent, but I love it. It's gripping. I absolutely love it. So yes, that is me. That is all I have to share. What I forgot to say is, so the theme, Matthew's theme for this term at school has been Harry Potter. He has been loving it. He's so taken in with Harry Potter. And when Harry Potter came out, I mean, Harry Potter books, I have it here. Okay, the first one came out in 1997. So back then, I had started reading Harry Potter, and I think I've read all of them, and I have all the books. So Matthew's theme was Harry Potter, and they needed to read book 1 and book 2, which they've been reading at school, and he's been reading on his own. But he's so into the story, and initially I thought it's not quite age appropriate. I mean, he's 8 years old, and they talk about dark magic and wizards, and well, not so much the wizards, but the dark magic, and then murder and but he's loving it. He doesn't see it in that kind of adult perspective that I see some of these things in. So he's just so into it. And I read, so I want him to love books as much as I do. And he has a school reader that he reads out to me. So he does at least 2 chapters of his school reader. And then we do the Harry Potter together. So I read 2 books to him, and I think we were doing The Prisoner of Azkaban, and I was also struggling with a sore throat, and he's like, one more chapter, and then he would push me, and obviously now I'm thoroughly enjoying this, like losing my voice completely, but loving the story and loving seeing the excitement on his face. That I also pushed myself to keep reading. But then I decided, Kogi, you have Audible, like buy the book. So we now are listening to Stephen Fry read the next one. So what are we listening to now? We are listening to Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. And it's awesome because he's reading along in his book. And I know that he's following through because sometimes he'd stop and he'd say, is that how we say that word? And so he's reading along and listening. And then I'm also listening at the same time. So that's something else that I'm listening to. It's Harry Potter. So yes, that's it. What else? Oh, at the beginning of this video, I decided to try something different and do a little video of my garden. It's still being created. And so I show you that beautiful rose bush, and my friend Gwen gave that to me when Natalia was born. So that was in 2018, and it came in a little pot, and it was that high. And we had put it into a bigger pot, and now it's in the ground, and this rose bush is just blooming. I mean, it's from 2018. It's such an awesome gift. So she knows that I don't like cut flowers. So I'm strange. I just think that and I know lots of people love cut flowers and love having flowers all over their house. I do too. I think it's beautiful. But flowers die. And then it gets depressing to see them wilt and die. And for me, that's very depressing. So a gift like something that is potted and that could then go into the garden or into a bigger pot and that could keep growing is my type of gift. And so, yeah, I just thought I'd show you the roses, and then we have this hibiscus tree, and then the tomatoes in the flower bed. So yes, we haven't set up our garden yet, and we haven't organized it, but I have this beautiful tomato tree with the most beautiful tomatoes in the flower bed. So yeah, that's it from me, and until next time, maybe in 2 weeks, I will see you then. Have a fantastic week, and stay warm or cool wherever you are, and happy crafting. Bye for now.